Okay, I have been needing to film this video for a long time. So at 2 months old, my son was diagnosed with torticollis. The way I found out about it was I posted an Instagram story of him laying in my lap, and he was just like constantly turning his head to the right. It's probably flipped, so it looks opposite, but he was constantly turning his head to the right. And my cousin's wife actually DM'd me and was like, hey, does he constantly turn his head to the right? Like, not trying to be mean, but my son did that, and then he was eventually diagnosed with torticollis. And I literally knew nothing about torticollis. And the next time we went into our pediatrician, it was at, I think it was at 2 months when they told us that that's what it was. So I brought it up to her. I said, hey, he's constantly turning his head to the right. Anytime he sleeps, it's always like slightly just like this. And she said, sure enough, he does have torticollis. His neck muscles are tight. So they referred us to a physical therapist to start like treatment on it. It took a really long time to get an appointment for some reason. The hospital that we're at, or our insurance, it just took a really long time to get an appointment. And so I actually ended up texting my friend who is our family chiropractor, and I said, hey, this is what he's been diagnosed with. Is there anything you can do to help? And she's so awesome, and she just started taking us once a week, and he really needed it. Those neck muscles were so tight. And at this point, I had no instruction from the doctor on what to do. So finally, we got an appointment with our physical therapist, and it was a group class, which I get it because there's so many cases. This is really common. And this is where it was kind of explained to me about what it was. So torticollis is the tightening of a neck muscle. Also, I am not a doctor. This is just my understanding of what was explained to me, and it could be wrong. So if you have more information that you'd like to share in a loving way, I'd love if you left it in the comments and just explained it better. But this is how I understood it, is that there was a tight muscle right back here that either in my belly he was positioned in a certain way that like made this tight, or overstretched. See, that's the part where I get a little confused. That was always pulling his head to the right. So Oliver's case wasn't that severe, and so she did like an evaluation of him, and I walked away with her telling me when he's in the car seat, have things to the left side, always have people to his left side, any stimulation always to his left to get him to start stretching. Try laying down and nursing him where he's turning to the left to stretch all this side out. And they said to get a little rattly bracelet so that you remember which way you want him to look and that he'll look that way. Just all stimulation, everything to the opposite side. That was their way to combat it. So I did it. Literally the day that I found out that he had it, and I found out how it could change their head shape, which is what I'm going to get into right now, it was on my mind 24/7. It really made, I feel like, that newborn stage more stressful because I constantly was worried about it. So what happens is their neck muscles are tight one way. So when he's on his back on his firm mattress that infants have to be on for 12 hours a night, it's changing the way his head shape. So his torticollis led to plagiocephaly. And plagiocephaly is where one side of the head is flat, and it could be either or. There's flathead syndrome, which is when, and if you just Google plagiocephaly, it'll give you a chart of like the there's like a few different things that could happen. If they're laying flat on their back, it could turn into a flathead, which doesn't cause long-term damage. It just changes, it's cosmetic. But plagiocephaly, when one side of the head is flattened, it can shift this side of the forehead forward. It can make your jaw be off center. It could make, your ears be lopsided. And so it's something that when they have plagiocephaly, and if it doesn't get better with time, when they are 6 months, they can be put in a helmet. Was it 6 months? Yeah. So we went home, we did everything that they told us. We flipped him around in the bed so that, he was turning the opposite way towards me. And that's one of the tips. If you have an infant, they say if you have the bassinet and their head is over here, turn the bassinet around so that they're facing the other way, so that you're alternating which side their head is on to keep that shape nice and round. So we did everything. We continued with the chiropractor, which I know that was what was helping the most. We went once a week. We continued with the physical therapy appointments, but something with like the appointments with them, we went 3 months without seeing them. So no, 2 months. So got diagnosed at 2 months, didn't get an appointment until about 3 months, and then had to wait until 5 months for our next appointment. And then at 6 months is when they were gonna decide if they're gonna put him in a helmet or not, which was so frustrating. So if you have a chiropractor that you trust, that is what I recommend. But don't just take your little tiny baby to anybody. My dog's about to come in. This was someone who had been working on my family for years. I knew that she was trustworthy. I knew that she did her own children. So just be very careful with that. If you know where I live, which I don't really want to say, but if you know where I live and you're close to me, I'll give you her information because she's the only person I would trust. So like we did literally everything. Tummy time is a big help because it strengthens the neck muscles so that they can control which way their head is facing. So Oliver's, there's a chart of severity, and he was at a 5 out of, so 1 through 7, he was at a 5, and 7 is the worst. So he was at a 5, and then I was able to bring him up to a 3, and then at the last appointment, if he was still at a 3, he would have ended up in a helmet. But like I swear by like the grace of God and like our chiropractor, he was able to be brought up to a level like 1.5. So now at this point, because the reason they don't put them in a helmet until 6 months is because their head shapes are still so malleable, and when they're younger, they can't move as much. And then so when they're 6 months, their heads are a little bit harder and they can move a lot. So you can't like reposition them. Like you can't just, you know, an infant, you just turn their neck and they just stay there. When they're 6 months, you know, they could roll over on their belly and all that stuff. So Oliver was at a 1.5, and he was rolling on his belly, he was sleeping on his belly, and that is when it started. Like I noticed that it wasn't getting worse. Like I felt like I could see it getting worse. I could look down, like if this was his head, I could look down on it and see the one side was flatter. And I'll try and see if I have photos. It was always hard for me to capture, and a lot of people actually didn't see what I was seeing, but I like could tell like that the side of his head was flat. So that is how we avoided getting a helmet. That's kind of the whole story in a nutshell. We did counter pressure constantly. I like always had him facing the opposite way, and once I learned that the harder the surface, the faster the shape changes, I put 2 and 2 together. I actually figured out that we just had a really low quality mattress, and I felt so guilty about it. It was so hard, and I think that contributed to the shape changing faster. So we actually ended up ordering the Newton mattress, and we ordered it with all our own money, not sponsored or anything. And it's 99% breathable or 100% breathable. It's made out of a food grade plastic, and it's like woven, and just look on their Instagram, you'll see all the information, but so soft. Like not soft where they're gonna suffocate obviously, but just like a memory foam soft where it's just like cozy. The other one was like springs and like a waterproof plastic lining where it was just like plasticky, and then this one's just like great. And I think that made a huge impact. So really, I would really recommend investing in the mattress. I would get a cheap crib and get an expensive mattress rather than have like some beautiful elaborate crib and a crappy mattress. You know what I mean? Like a mattress matters, and they're going to use that until they're like 3.5 or whatever, because you know they can use it when it's a toddler bed. So the counter pressure, the stretching, the chiropractor, that all contributed to not having to put him in a helmet. And oh, and he's just waking up from a nap. Yeah, bring him in. Let me see him.
Didn't have torticollis.
So Shane, he always like referred to it as his tortilla chip instead of his torticollis. Bring him in here, I want to see him. Come here, Tiny. Hi, baby. Look at him. You say hi? Say I didn't need a helmet. My chiropractor helped me. But it was I was so nervous about him getting into a helmet, and now looking back, like if he would have been in a helmet, it's not like that big of a deal. If your baby ends up in a helmet, don't feel like shame, like don't feel guilty for it. Just do what you can when you can, and if they still need it, then you do that, and there's no shame in that. But I really hope that just sharing my experience helps, because I feel like I didn't really know what to do or see a lot of information on it when he was diagnosed with it. So, and I really believe that the way he got it was when he was born, he was giant. And so I think when he was coming out, I think he got like kinked when he was coming out. So I'm just really happy with how it happened. I think his head shape is still a little bit long, but he doesn't need a helmet, and I can tell like gravity, I hate dancing. I can tell like gravity is definitely still rounding out his head shape. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or if you want to share your experience in the comments so other people can talk to you about it. He's almost 9 months now, so it's been 3 months since they said he didn't need it. Go baby, go baby, go baby, go baby. Thanks for watching. Bye.